What is up, everybody? Carlton Flowers here with Family Sports Network FSN, and today we're going to do the follow-up show to the big Chiefs win in Buffalo, and we're going to talk about all of my predictions. I got lucky. I nailed this preview. The game preview, I hit the nail on the head on so many points, and we're going to talk about what I hit and the very few things that I was wrong about. And then today's main topic, we're going to talk about MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Everybody has been running him up the flagpole. He did have a good game in Buffalo. But we're going to discuss a few things and look at the good and the bad. And I'm going to make a case to you. I'm going to make a case right here, right now, today, and show you that the Kansas City Chiefs might benefit from not cutting him and moving on. Maybe they need to do some contract renegotiations. But after we go through these bullet points, I think you're going to have a different viewpoint of MVS. All right, well, first of all, let's jump into the stats from the big win. I tell you what, I about had a heart attack watching that game. It was ridiculous. We had the family chat going on, had Daryl and Michael Stanbro in the house. We had Ted Flowers, Coach Ted in St. Louis.
Yay!
Defensive back coach for Hazelwood West in St. Louis. He was in the chat. And of course, Scott Flowers, writer, producer, and reporter for FSN. And then we had Rod Sample tuning in all the way from Detroit in the chat. All right, here we go. Let's jump over to the desktop and look at the stats from this game. Okay, so let's start with the Chiefs and talk about everything I got right and what I got wrong. And then we'll just look at the Bills real quick because we don't really need to focus on those stats. It's insignificant. Here's the overall score, 27-24. I called for a win of a touchdown or more. And you know what's interesting? Had McCole hard-headed Hardman, not fumbled that ball trying to reach over the goal line, which is something you just do not do. Had he not fumbled that ball out of the end zone, that would have been it right there. That was my 7-point or more point differential. So thank you, McCole, for ruining that portion of my prediction. But let's look at the rest of it. I said that we would have to have a strong rushing game, that we were going to get 150 yards out of this crew, with an X factor being Patrick Mahomes on cleanup duty with a few scrambles to add to Isaiah Stompin Pacheco's rushing ability and the backup from a strong CEH. And look what happened. It worked out exactly to the script. So if you want to say the NFL is scripted, it is, because I wrote the script for that game. Okay, so Pacheco with 97 yards. Amazing. We had CEH with only 2 carries, totaling 31. Mahomes scrambled 6 times for 19 yards, which actually it would have been 24, but he did lose some yards on a couple of plays. McCole takes 1 yard out of the total, and I believe that comes up to what? 146 yards? Let's see, 147? 146 with the -1 from McCole. So how about that? I called for 150. We got 146. Now, Mahomes did have a strong game. 17 for 23. Didn't break any records with the receiving yards, but it was all of the critical passes at the times that they needed to have it happen for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, what else did I say on the preview video? I said that this was going to be a game where the offensive player of the game would be Travis Kelce, that we would have a very strong showing from our all-pro future Hall of Fame receiver Travis Kelce, tight end receiver. You call him what you want. Big receiver is what I call him. He just runs over people. And look what he did. Five catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns out of 6 targets. So only 1 pass that he wasn't able to get, and it was not his fault. So that came to pass. Now, the biggest thing that I said. And I did say that Rashee Rice would continue to have a receiver one-ish type of game. And let's look at the fact that, okay, Kelsey is the tight end, but of the receivers, Rashee Rice had the most catches. 4 for 47, no drops, no misses. 4 out of 4 for 47 yards. But the big thing was this. I said that MVS was going to have a breakout game and double his production from 1 catch to 2. And I said he was going to get targeted 3 times. Now look at this. How close was I? Targets 4, receptions 2, yards 62. 2 great big catches, and it could have been 3. It could have been 3 had not Patrick Mahomes had it not been for the fact that Patrick Mahomes overthrew him on a would-be touchdown. So really, MVS had a better game than I even expected. Now, the defense did not do as well as what I thought was stopping the rushing game, but they tightened up when it counted near the end of the game. And I did say that McDuffie and Snead were going to have outstanding games. And they did. Snead did give up that touchdown, but it was so close. I give that credit to Josh. What's his name? Josh. I can't remember what the great big guy on the Buffalo Bills side, that other quarterback guy. He passed a ball in the one place that he could put it in order to complete that within the inbounds line and the goal line, where the ball was over the goal line when it was caught, to make that touchdown pass. That was 100% dead accuracy, and that was very hard to defend. So I'm still going to give Snead and McDuffie players of the game on the defense for such an outstanding showing. But they all did a great job. The safeties did great. It was really the linebackers, the safeties, and the cornerbacks. The line had a tough time. They were getting moved around a lot, and we gave up a lot of rushing yards. But then once they really kind of got their crap together in the fourth quarter, late third to fourth quarter, they slowed down that rushing game, and they were able to pull out the stops when they needed to seal that win. Okay. So I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm almost scared to do the next game preview because I don't know if I'll ever get that lucky again. I mean, that was pure luck. I'd love to tell you that I'm this outstanding sports analyst, but I don't think anybody can really call games because you never know what's going to happen. And I will say that Josh Allen, yes, his last name is Allen, played an outstanding game. The Buffalo Bills have nothing really to cry about, as we saw the people crying in the stands at the end of that game. They really have nothing to cry about. They turned around a season that was basically lost. They went deep into the playoffs. They played a solid game, but the Chiefs played a better game. All right, so enough of that. Let's just move right on to topic number 2, which is the main topic. Let's transition. Okay, so here we are. We are going to talk about MVS. And what we're going to discuss here. There was a lot of people that were saying we need to bench MVS, move on, put somebody else in his place. Don't let him start. He's just running wind sprints up and down the field, and there's really no use to having him there. I think I got some Amazon packages coming in. We're going to break all that down, and I'm going to present a point. We're going to put the bad out there and then the good, and I'm going to leave you with some thoughts that will probably make you rethink your opinion of why we have MVS on the team and if they're going to continue with him next year. All right, so who can bump MVS out as the starter? Now, we did have a game or two where he did get cut way back on snaps. But now that we've had people hurt, we see MVS back as a starter, receiving the majority of the snaps on the receivers core. So right now, today, let's just run down the line. Could we bump out MVS for the AFC Championship game and or the Super Bowl? Is there somebody we could just swap him out and start in his place? Could it be Rashee Rice? No, because he's already receiver one-ish. Rashee Rice ain't going nowhere. They, of course, if MVS is going to continue to receive the majority of the snaps, It's going to be 3 starters that we will see, and those 2 are definitely going to be the ones that are at the top of the rotation, because the next guy on the list, Kadarius Toney, is always hurt. So we cannot supplant MVS with Kadarius Toney. We don't even know if he's going to play in the AFC Championship game. Now, when you've been out for as many games as he has, can you jump into the championship game? Can you jump into the Super Bowl and be depended on in that top rotation? Would it make sense to replace MVS with Kadarius Toney this late in the season? No, it would not. He's not fresh. And we have not had enough games to see if he has parted with his dropping ways. All right, let's go on down the list. Justin Watson. Can he bump out MVS? No. Now, first of all, he's already in the rotation. But when you sit them side by side, okay, Justin Ross is a deep threat. Justin Ross, what am I talking about? Justin Watson is a deep threat. He is a talented receiver. He has had his few drops, but he's already in the rotation. And no, you cannot make a strong case for saying that he's ready to get the majority of the snaps. And we'll get into the why when we go through the list of the good things for MVS. Next on the list, Richie James. Can he supplant MVS with the majority of the snaps? Probably not. I don't think so. I think Richie James is a good receiver. But does he have the breakout speed? Is he ready to be the number 1, number 2 receiver? I think they're using Richie James in a correct way and saving him for punt return, kickoff return, and not pushing him more on the snaps for the offensive side of the ball. So Richie James, you're using him right. Let's leave him alone. Okay, next on the list. How about Sky Moore? I didn't mean to laugh. Sorry, Sky. But absolutely not. No. Sky Moore is not ready to supplant MVS as the starter for a variety of reasons. Number 1, not dependable. He has his fair share of drops, maybe not quite as bad as MVS. But he does not have the same physical attributes. No. He has gone downhill in his sophomore campaign and does not show us that he's one that we can depend on for those majority of snaps. So we're just going to move on from that. All right. Next one on the list, Mecole Hardman. We're not even going to talk about the disappointing things that he has done as of recent, not just the fumble out of bounds in the end zone in a critical point of a game, but things like fumbling punts, one of the first things he did when he came back to Kansas City. How about that pouty little play where he thought he got held, and so he's kind of flipping around out there with his arms like, "What's up, ref? Where's the flag? Where's the flag?" Instead of completing the play, he was being a little drama queen. The answer to Mecole is a resounding no, absolutely not. I don't think there's anybody that can give me a valid point or argue with me on whether or not Mecole Hardman could supplant MVS with the majority of the snaps on the offensive side of the ball in the receiver core. Ain't going to happen. I don't even think he should be on the team. So we'll move on from that one. And last, but certainly not least, we have Justin Ross. Could Justin Ross step in a leadership role and get the majority of the snaps? No. I think that he can help. Once he comes back from injury, he has been injured, and now that he is moved on from his Dodelberg days of having domestic violence issues, which tells me there are some maturity issues, I think that he can be a help and be a good part, but it's early on. But we just don't know how much that he could be dependent on. And he hasn't been in this situation deep in the playoffs to know whether we can depend on him where he can handle that kind of pressure. So right now, no way. You're not going to supplant MVS with the majority of the snaps. So going into the AFC Championship game and then hopefully the Super Bowl, I I mean, that's just it. MVS is going to be the starter along with Rashee Rice, and then the rest of them will be in the rotation as Andy Reid sees fit. But MVS is squarely going to be getting the majority of the snaps, period. So that brings us to the next half of the MVS discussion, which is the good and the bad. And let's start out with the bad. Of course, there was the catastrophic drop at the end of the Packers game. The catastrophic drop. I think, wasn't there another catastrophic drop in the beginning of the seasons in the loss to the Lions? I believe there was. So he has had his fair share of drops, maybe more than anyone else on the team. Another bad thing was kind of in relation to his attitude. Whenever he had that catastrophic drop at the end of the Packers game, and there was a little interaction with a reporter, and his flippant response in the interview set off a firestorm on Twitter where he received a lot of criticism. He basically got roasted on Twitter after the response that he gave at the end of that game. And it kind of came off in a little bit of an arrogant, narcissistic way where he was not wanting to take responsibility. I can kind of understand his standpoint, and it was somewhat true, but it just... we wanted to hear him say, hey, I screwed up, I'll do better. Like Patrick Mahomes says a lot at the end of games when they lose. We know what we need to do better. We have to improve. The last point of the bad that I can say is the brick hands, okay? Even the 2 catches he had in that game, it was like, it just looked janky. He caught him, though. I mean, he caught him. It looked like a struggle. It wasn't like he just had Spider-Man clean hands and caught the ball. No, it was like, there's the ball. Okay, I got it. And then hold on for dear life. So he does have brick hands. All right, let's get to the good. And as a matter of fact, I just thought of another good point. I'm going to add on the end, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, now let's go down this list here. Number 1, he has the speed to be a legit deep threat. In fact, he is a legitimate deep threat receiver. You cannot argue with that. We don't have that on this team other than with Justin Ross. McCole was supposed to be the deep threat with his speed, but there's too many factors that have to be thrown into that mix to make you a serious deep threat target. And McCole flunks on that. But MVS has enough of those things that makes him sincerely, legitimately a deep threat. The second thing, he's tall. He has the height. He can stretch. Now, I don't know if he uses that stretchability as much as he could, and I don't think he's been targeted enough where we are taking advantage of his ability to stretch or high point him with the ball, but his height is an advantage that he has over the other receivers in the receivers room of the Chiefs. The next one, third point, this one you can't deny. He really gets open. I mean, look at all the tape. Look at the tape. MVS does get open all the time. Now, there has been an issue of trust with Mahomes trusting that he's going to catch the ball, so a lot of times he does not take that chance where he has not been throwing him the ball. But we're going to get more to that with the last point. We're going to save that for the last point. Okay, the next good point about MVS that you cannot argue is that he's not afraid to block. He does finish plays. Like I said in the last video, he will run sprints all night up and down the field, and he won't let up. He has the energy. He does not quit on plays. He will block. That's a positive. All right, the next one. MVS is not a drama queen. Even though we weren't very appreciative of the interaction with that reporter, that was the only real negative as far as personality that we have seen thus far. He doesn't cause problems. He's not a drama queen. He's not like, what's his fruit out there with the Ravens that we're about to play. I don't even remember his name. Don't even want to say his name. And so glad that the Chiefs did not spend the money trying to bring him in. Marquez is not a drama queen. The next point is in relation to that, he does appear to be a very intelligent young man. He is well-spoken. It seems like he has a high IQ. All right? And I respect that. I would rather take an intelligent, high IQ individual that has a few things that he needs to clean up than someone that is stupid and just a drama queen that causes problems, like Stephon Diggs. All right. Now, here's the second to the last point, then we'll get to the one that I added as the bonus. Second to the last point is he's a veteran, guys. He's the veteran receiver in the room. He's been in the big games. He's been in the Super Bowl. He caught the Super Bowl pass. So will this AFC Championship game and possibly another Super Bowl cause him to be high up on his nerves? No. This is old school. He's been there. You know how they always say, act like you've been there before. Well, MVS has been there before, okay? He's been there and done that. So in a high-stakes game, I don't think we're going to have to worry about his nerves. In fact, he's kind of getting better. It's taken a long time, but these 2 catches is a major improvement. Now, last but not least, here's the last point. The last point. He does get open, and we talked about Mahomes did not trust him for a long time because of the drops. But this last point is, look at what Mahomes said after the win. Did you hear what Patrick Mahomes said about MVS? He said he knows that MVS gets a whole lot of hate outside of the stadium. That's us, the fans. We dog on MVS all the time. But isn't it interesting that our future Hall of Fame quarterback said firmly that he has to trust more in MVS? Patrick Mahomes said that. He said MVS is the veteran out there and he has to trust more in him and throw him the ball, and he believes in 11. Now, there's none of us. All of us armchair quarterbacks, we can say all we want about MVS. And it does not matter and doesn't hold a candle to the opinion that the future Hall of Famer, the future GOAT, which you could almost already call him the GOAT, what the future GOAT had to say trumps what we have to say. That takes out our opinion. He sees things that we don't because Patrick Mahomes is with him every day. Patrick Mahomes is on the field at eye level. Patrick Mahomes has the discussions during practice and after practice and a relationship with this man. And for him to come out so strongly in support of him, I think that we're going to have to trust in Patrick Mahomes. So what does all this add up to? I think it adds up to the fact that we're probably going to see MVS on the roster again. And if we continue our Super Bowl winning ways, do we really need to break a formula that's working? Do we need to break the bank on a standout receiver? Or do we need to work with what we've got and maybe pare back that money for MVS a little bit and leave him on the team as Rashee Rice goes into his sophomore campaign after impressing the heck out of us and becoming the best rookie receiver that the Chiefs have had to date? Well, I've kind of changed my mind, and I'm kind of believing that maybe we'll see more improvement. Maybe he'll have a couple more good games, and maybe next year is the breakout year that MVS has that I expected for this year. Because overall, the Chiefs had a crappy season, lots of drops, lots of struggle, but they got their act together. So maybe we can just write that off as the stars weren't aligned for the 2023 season. Maybe the 2024 season will be different. I'd love to know your opinion. I want to know. Post it in the comments. Do we see MVS back again? Should we put our faith and trust in him as the GOAT has instructed us to? Yay! Let me know. And then I'll be back with you soon. I got a few other topics I want to cover. And then, of course, I will do a game day preview. And I got to get Scott on here before that game. Maybe I'll get Scott to join me for the AFC Championship game day preview. And that pretty much is it. That's all I've got for now. So this is Carlton, and I am out.